Welcome back to another episode of Random Access. My name is Daddy Steve, and this is episode 8. Let's get into the gaming news. For the past week, I did take some time off, so there are going to be some gaps in gaming news. Some of this stuff is a little bit older news than we're accustomed to typically, but we're going to play a little catch-up in this episode here, so bear with me. Leading off the news, we're going to talk about Google Stadia. So this was announced at GDC 2019 in San Francisco, and basically Google Stadia is the new tech on the block. Now, the console wars with PS4, Xbox, Microsoft, Sony, they've all talked about going boxless or console-less in the past, about taking the console completely away and having everything on the cloud and having cloud gaming. But Google Stadia is taking it a step further and being the first to come to market with such technology. So basically what Google Stadia is, from my understanding of just looking at the announcement, is it is gaming without any equipment or any gear or anything you need, any of the hardware needed to run the game. It is completely streaming the games to whatever device you have. It could be your TV, could be your monitor on your computer, it could be your phone, it could be a tablet. You can stream to any device and play any game that you want. Well, I don't know about any game, but again, these are some of the smaller details. But ideally, you can stream or play any game you want on any device at any time, without any updates, without any loading, without any of the additional burden of owning the equipment itself. So Google Stadia is expected to do this for the future. Now, there is a caveat here with Google Stadia that has already been announced. GameSpot, I believe, did a test of Google Stadia at GDC, and the biggest issue, and this was the issue of I think it was on live in the past as well, where there's input lag with a streaming service. Now, input lag with a movie is not a big deal. It may buffer or something, but that's not a big deal to your movie or TV show experience. But when you're playing games, especially when you're playing competitive games, imagine playing League of Legends, and you have buffering. Buffering is whenever there's like a delay in your input into, you press something, but then it doesn't actually happen in the game until like maybe a second or half a second later. And in competitive gaming, that is a huge issue. Now, again, this is all like prototype, preliminary stuff that they're showing here. They may fix this when the actual, when Google Stadia actually comes out. But as it stands right now, GameSpot made a big write-up on this, saying that, hey, Google Stadia is a good idea, but this input buffering issue is a huge problem, and it will definitely cut out the majority of competitive games where you have to have reaction time and be able to react quickly to the enemy. And if you're having half a second delay or longer even, then you're never going to be able to be competitive against people that have just a regular setup. So that's an issue with it so far. Hopefully that issue gets resolved, because imagine a world where you have no computer. You don't need to go and buy the most expensive computer or upgrade your computer. You don't need to have a PS4 or Xbox or whatever console you need to play a specific game. You can just go to Google Stadia. You can pull up the game, like maybe a la Netflix or Hulu, and you say, I want to play this game today, and you play it, and it's in full fidelity. Now, they're saying they're going to be offer 4K 60 FPS to start out with, and they've also mentioned that it will be 8K scalable in the future, because 8K is the future of like of viewing pleasure. Like 8K monitors, all that stuff is coming out soon, so they're already getting ready for the future of gaming as well. So it is very interesting to see how Google Stadia plays out here. I am curious to see how they monetize this, because they have not announced anything about monetization. Like, how much are they going to charge you? Is it a subscription service? Do you have to buy the games? Do you have to do microtransactions with these games or anything? Like, what are the details behind how they monetize this and how they sustain this technology? Because it is very interesting. And basically the reason they're able to do this is because they have these cloud servers all over the place. So they have like thousands upon thousands of cloud servers that can store all this stuff and let you play those games whenever you want. Another cool feature of Google Stadia that I think is really cool, and I think others have mentioned it, even like Game Informer and some others, is that when you're playing a game, say you're going to fight this boss in a game, and you save the game right before you fight that boss, you can pass that save file to a friend, and that friend can pick up right where you left off and play that game in the exact same state you would have played the game in. and they can experience the same thing you experience. So say you're in the middle of a cool little action sequence and you want someone else to experience with you, you take that save file and send it to a friend, and they can experience that for themselves instead of watching a video. They're actually firsthand inside it. So I think that's really cool. I think that's pretty awesome that they have that technology available. But again, can they get the tech down to where like there's not going to be lag issues, there's not going to be like degradation of your game to keep up with performance? What happens when you have thousands upon thousands or even millions of people using the service? How bogged down will this get, you know? Because everybody is going to be connected to this. So how does that even work as far as technology standpoint, keeping everybody up and running? Is there going to be caps on the servers? Is there going to be caps on how many people can play a certain game at one time? There's so many questions out there about this, but again, Google's keeping their cards close to the chest, just letting you guys know, like, hey, we have Google Stadia here, but we're not giving you all the details just yet. So stay tuned. I didn't catch when it was releasing. I can't remember when it's releasing. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Let's see here. I don't remember a release date here. I don't think they gave us a release date. Yeah, there isn't a release date. They just announced it, but it is definitely not out yet. So stay tuned for that, because there is no announcement on it yet. But Google Stadia, that was a big announcement from GDC that happened in March, and it's freaking amazing. It's freaking awesome. All right, our next topic here. Torichi, thank you so much for the host, man. Much appreciated, sir. Thank you. Right before I get to my next topic. We're doing a gaming news segment for everybody that's joining us now, so feel free to make yourselves at home. The next item here is Article 13. So if you're not familiar with Article 13, don't worry, a lot of people don't understand it. Even after reading it, I still don't fully understand it. The basic gist of Article 13 is this. Whenever you share content that is not yours, such as like memes, which is the most basic, easy way to really understand this from a logical standpoint. And when you share a meme of like, say, like a movie character, and you just take that image and you modify that image and share it with other people, Article 13, in theory, will prevent you from doing that, or you will get a copyright strike against you, or you'll get in trouble and be copyrighted, basically. You could be potentially sued. But Article 13 doesn't put the onus on the user that actually did that. It puts the onus on the actual companies that provide those services, the platforms that provide the user access to these services. So Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, all your social media platforms that allow you to trade those memes out or trade those different like montage videos out and stuff like that, those platforms will now have to police material that is copyrighted or potentially copyright material like that, to where you won't be able to post that stuff anymore, or it'll be blocked, or you'll get banned, things like that. They'll be required to police that, otherwise they will get sued for this content getting out there to the rest of the world. Article 13 is meant to protect content creators, but again, it kind of shoots you in the foot as well, especially when people reshare content as well. Other things are like parody videos and stuff like that. Like if you're doing parody videos, I don't think that's going to be allowed either. Like memes and things like that, just like joking stuff like that. All these different things will not be allowed under Article 13. And this was passed in the EU. There's nothing in the US yet that I've heard of, but now that it's been passed in the EU, it would make sense that they would try to implement something similar in the US as well, because the US is already copyright like crazy anyways. So it just makes sense that they would come to the US afterwards. But Article 13 was passed in Europe. It is not implemented yet. They have there's a 2-year ramp up period, so companies have 2 years to get everything in order before this law goes into effect. And then within that 2 years, it can be challenged by the people. The people can petition to have this abolished. They can vote to get rid of Article 13. They can vote to modify it to make it make more sense to the content creators today. There's a number of different things that could happen between now and 2 years for when this goes into effect. But if it does go into effect, it's going to put a big damper in a lot of content creators, including streamers. So you just got to be extra careful if you're an EU streamer and this is going to affect 2 years from now. You really got to understand what you're getting yourself into so you don't get copyright struck or get in trouble from the platform that you're on. The next thing I want to talk about is T-Pain. Yes, the rapper T-Pain. The guy that says, "I'm gonna buy you a drink." That song, yes. Okay, so if you guys were paying attention to Twitter or even Twitch at all this week, you would have noticed that T-Pain was streaming with Professor Broman, Gothalion, and T-Rex. They were playing, was it Risk of Rain 2? I tuned in when I was at work just to watch a little bit, because they only did it for like an hour. And oh my god, that was an amazing stream. Like, those guys synergized so well together. It was just an amazing moment to see. And surprisingly, the viewership wasn't as high as I thought it would be on this instance. And maybe it wasn't publicized enough, or maybe there wasn't a lot of outreach done to the full extent like Ninja and Drake happened. But when these guys all grouped together and played, I think T-Pain had like 6,000 to 7,000 viewers. Broman was in the low thousands. Goth was in his typical viewership numbers. I think he was around like 9,000-10,000, and T-Rex was around 1,000 as well. So again, not humongous numbers really, but the experience was really cool to witness. And the impact that this has on Twitch as a platform was amazing to see, because think about the possibilities. When you have rappers such as T-Pain, Drake, the difference between T-Pain and Drake was T-Pain was actually streaming. Drake was just playing a game with Ninja. He wasn't even on the screen. T-Pain was actually streaming. And now there's been other people that have streamed on the platform, sure. But T-Pain is a big gamer. I don't know if you guys know about T-Pain, but he's a big gamer. He was streaming. That guy is stupid funny. And yeah, it was just an amazing show. And it just blows my mind that there could be so much more potential on this platform with big celebrities and big names coming to the platform to really shine a light on what we do as content creators. So again, this is just going to activate more users on Twitch, activate more people that are interested in the platform and streaming in general, and it's just a positive for the industry as a whole. So I thought it was a really good thing. I wanted to make sure we address that here today in our news segment. Really awesome to see that live. I didn't get to see the Drake Ninja thing live, but I definitely saw the T-Pain collab stream live, and it was freaking dope. And then right after that, he had to go do a concert. So he was literally, from the stream, he was leaving to go do a concert. Like, it was crazy. It was so crazy. If you get a chance, go back and watch a VOD. It's definitely good. All right, next up on our list here, we have Apple Arcade. So Apple Arcade was announced at GDC 2019 this year. And Apple Arcade is a subscription service for games. Pause. Yes, it's a subscription service for games. But what kind of games are you asking? Well, it looks to be that Apple is targeting the mobile game market with this. Now, most of us will scoff at the sound of mobile gaming because, you know, they're not real games. They're usually pay to win games, or they nickel and dime you to death, and most people don't like those type of games. Most traditional gamers do not like mobile games, I'll just say it that way. And to see Apple go this way is very interesting because, one, mobile gaming is very lucrative. It is, like I've said in the past episodes, mobile gaming is where all the majority of your money is as an organization. If you're not in mobile gaming, as a business that creates games, if you're not in mobile gaming, you're doing yourself a disservice because there's so much money to be made there. 2, everybody and their mama has a phone. 3, iPhone has so much market share for phones, it's ridiculous. So Apple Arcade makes perfect business sense for them. They're going to target the mobile games market in a way that no other in this company has actually done before. So they're going to provide a subscription service. They are going to have access to like thousands of games. There's going to be the way they described it is you're going to be able to play in the Apple ecosystem. You can take your game and play it on any location. There's going to be no in-game buy-in, so you won't have to do the nickel and dime thing like you used to do with like Clash of Clans or something. So you don't have to pay. It's not pay to win. Like, all the games that you get are completely included with your subscription, so there's no additional payment or monetization from that. They haven't announced how much the actual subscription fee is going to cost, but again, it is a really interesting play that they have. So in a nutshell, it is basically all you can play, one subscription, no ads, no in-game app purchases, and you can play in the entire Apple ecosystem from your phone, tablet, your computer, laptop, your Apple TV, whatever you want, and you can play those games offline. So it's really interesting that they have that. Again, I'm not sure how that's going to perform in the traditional gaming space, but for the average person that is not a real traditional gamer who sits down at a computer or a console and plays video games, or maybe just plays phone games all the time, this looks like a really, really interesting thing to that consumer. And it seems like that is their target audience, and maybe the more casual gamer, if you will. But yeah, that's Apple Arcade, guys. Check it out. There's a lot of info on their website about it, and it is coming out this fall. They've announced that it will be coming out this fall. They haven't given a pricing on it yet either, though. A lot of people are they're not. Google and Apple don't like to disclose how much they're going to charge people just yet for this stuff. It's interesting to see that. All right, the next thing we have is Borderlands 3. Of course, it was already announced. By the time you're watching this, you know that Borderlands 3 was announced at PAX East. It was highly anticipated, and most people expected it to be announced at PAX East. There were some teasers and stuff going on, and yes, Borderlands at PAX East. The big news here, though, is that it's going to be exclusively on the Epic Store. Why is that big news? Is because Epic is continually gobbling up exclusive rights to games. And now, we talked earlier about how Epic jumped into the game store, or the storefront platform, the storefront war with Steam and other storefronts, and how Epic is slowly but surely getting exclusive rights to games and chipping away at Steam's stronghold on the industry. There's another game that I was looking forward to purchasing, and realized I got an email from Steam saying, hey, your game that you want to purchase is no longer going to be available on Steam after this date. You can pre-purchase it on Steam still, and everything will be honored, but if you do not pre-purchase it, you will not be able to purchase it on Steam. They took another game to Epic, making it exclusive. I'm like, what is going on? So not only is Borderlands, but there's other games, like very popular AAA games, that are being taken and put on the Epic Store, and you can only get those games on Epic Store. So Epic is really making a play at making their storefront very competitive with Steam. Now again, Steam has had, I feel like, over a decade to really iterate and make their platform really user friendly. The Epic Store is a little bit janky. I don't know if you guys have played Fortnite or any other Epic games, you'll understand what I'm saying. It is not the most friendly platform to use, and it's kind of frustrating to navigate. But again, they just literally started that thing up, and they haven't had time to iterate like Steam, so cut them a little slack. It is really cool to see that Epic is challenging Steam. Do I want to download multiple freaking storefronts? No, I don't, because I already have Battle.net. I already have Uplay. I already have Origins. I already have Steam. Now I have an Epic Store. Like, you have like 50 different storefronts to use when looking for games, and it gets kind of irritating to deal with as a user, because most of your games are most likely on Steam, because Steam's been around the longest, and having to go around and play like one or two games off another storefront is just really annoying. Like, for example, Apex Legends. You know darn well that no one else is playing any other game on the Origins store other than Apex Legends, or the Origins client. No one is playing any other game besides Apex on that client. So you're literally have that downloaded, wasting space on your computer for one game. Yeah. It's just irritating. Those are the most irritating things. Or like Uplay or the Bethesda launcher. Like, there's just so many launchers out there and clients. It's just so irritating at the end of the day. I don't need all these different clients out here. Can we just find someone? Can somebody out there create technology to integrate all these things together, so that way, you know what, even though I have all these different clients, this one platform is going to organize it all for me, so I can just pick the game I want. I don't have to worry about looking through all these different platforms. Whoever comes up with that, you're going to make some money for sure. But yeah, the Borderlands 3 exclusivity is continuing the Epic Store run on getting exclusives. Either they get temporary limited time exclusives, or actual permanent exclusives in some cases. So stay tuned. The Epic Store is continually encroaching Steam's territory. It's very interesting to see that. Next thing we have up is the swatting caller sentenced to 20 years in jail. So if you're not familiar with this case, there was I want to say it was a Call of Duty player. They had some beef. The guy got so angry that he actually swatted the other player. The police show up at this guy's house, and the guy comes out of his house all hysterical, and the police shoot him dead on his porch. The guy that called the police to swat him was only sentenced to 20 years in jail for getting this guy killed. I personally feel like the sentence was very light, considering he did get this guy killed. But, you know, I think this is more of a precedence thing. I don't know if anybody else has been killed from swatting before. I think this is one of the first times that's ever happened. So maybe that's why they took a little bit more caution there. But yeah, he's getting 20 years in jail. And I honestly think it should be more. And for all you hardcore trolls out there that are thinking this stuff is funny, there are severe consequences for your actions for being hardcore trolls like this. And in certain cases, you can actually kill somebody with this. So take that shit serious. Don't be a troll. It's not worth it at the end of the day. Do you want to live the rest of your life behind bars? Do you want to potentially take someone's life away? I mean, it's not that serious. Games are not that serious. And if you're that serious to you, you need to get off the game and go get mental help. get a therapist, go see a psychiatrist, get on some medication. Gaming is not that serious to do something like this. So I wish a guy would have got more time, but hey, 20 years is still not the worst thing we could have got there. So I'll take what I can get. Next thing we have is PewDiePie joining D-Live. What the heck is D-Live? D-Live is a new streaming platform. It has been out. From the news clippings that I've seen, D-Live has been around for a while. It doesn't seem like it had a lot of traction until most recently, until the signing of PewDiePie. So PewDiePie signed a contract with D-Live to exclusively stream on their platform. I'm sure that for an undisclosed fee, obviously that's not cheap to get PewDiePie, the biggest YouTuber in the world, to stream on your platform. But he is going to be streaming exclusively on their platform. I think his first stream is this weekend. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's April 12th, so I think it's Sunday. Wait, Sunday 12th? Oh, maybe it's tomorrow. Actually, it might be tomorrow. Either tomorrow or Sunday. At the time it's recording, this is Friday, April 11th, if you're wondering. So he'll be doing his first stream this weekend. And yes, so it is a new streaming platform. The unique aspect with this platform is that it is using a blockchain called Lino, where that is the foundation of the streaming service. I looked at the streaming service earlier this week, the streaming platform. It's an interesting play because they don't take any cut from the streamer as far as like revenue that's generated. So if anybody tips the streamer, or if anybody like subs to the streamer, they have different lingo for it, but basically this platform is not taking any cut away from the streamer, and that goes straight to the streamer. The only thing they do is they take 10% of whatever that streamer makes and puts it in a pool. And this pool is used in creative ways to generate additional like activity on the platform. So you get basically 90% of like what they're giving you. So it's called Lino points, and you give the Lino points to the streamer. And I believe that's how it works. Again, I don't quote me on this. I'm still not 100% familiar with how the platform works, but that's basically it. They also have partner. And they have like global partner. So your partner is basically your affiliate on Twitch, and your global partner is basically your partner on Twitch. They have more stringent requirements than a typical than Twitch does, for sure. Like to get partner or affiliate, quote unquote affiliate, there you have to have 200 followers, I believe, and you have to have a certain amount of Lino points and stuff like that. So they have different ways of tracking how you should be a partner. So their follower count has to be a little bit higher. There's other little things you have to do in order to be a partner. And then you get transcoding as an affiliate, where here on Twitch you don't necessarily get transcoding all the time. And if you don't know what transcoding is, it basically lets you change the quality of the stream as a user instead of having to watch it in a certain quality. So say I stream 1080p all the time, and your internet can't handle the 1080p, you can downgrade it to make it easier for you to still watch the stream. And so that option is available to affiliates on their platform, and then also they have the access to it. And then also on as a global partner or a partner on Twitch, you have to have like, I think 1,000 followers or more. I don't know. It's a pretty significant number. So in essence, the numbers to reach affiliate and partner on this platform are a little bit more severe, which makes sense because you don't want an oversaturated partner and affiliate, or a partner and global partner pool. You want to really weed out who's really dedicated and who's really not. So it makes sense. And I feel like Twitch should probably tighten the belt a little bit on the affiliate requirements as well. And honestly, maybe even, I don't know, partner seems like it's good where it's at, but I feel like the affiliate one should be bumped up a significant amount, because getting an affiliate was way too easy these days. But yeah, that D-Live, check it out. It's based on a blockchain system, which is really interesting. I still don't really understand that completely, but PewDiePie is over there supporting that platform. Literally, he's carrying that platform right now. So yeah, check it out. That news broke earlier this week, I believe. Next up, we have a sales update for you guys. So there was a record year for UK games market this past year in 2018, with almost $6 billion in spending in the UK. Now it's funny that this stat came out, because I was literally watching a UK streamer the other day, and they were saying that like in the UK, like gaming wasn't that big of a thing, or it wasn't that popular. In my head, I'm like, that doesn't make sense, because I've always seen UK spend a ton of money on games, especially like Forza and other games like that. So it didn't make sense what the streamer was saying. I was like, that doesn't add up to what I've seen in the past. But this stat right here really just debunks that theory altogether. Almost $6 billion in the UK alone. UK freaking loves games, and this is attributed to that. So, the good news is that we have other markets in the world that are healthy game markets for developers to pull from. And the whole point of just bringing this up is that it makes it to where like developers need to think more globally when they're developing games, especially our Western developers, and maybe even the Eastern developers. Just like you really need to focus on all these markets, especially the big ones like the US and the UK, and you know, Southeast Asia is a huge market as well. So there are specific markets throughout the world that are just huge. And in South America is actually a developing market for gaming. They're slowly but surely developing and becoming a strong gaming consumer and spender as well. So that's another big interesting development. As time goes on, I'm sure 2019 will see a significant increase in South American spending on games. Next up, we have BDO, Black Desert Online. It has surpassed $1 billion in revenue since its 2015 launch. Now, this game has been out forever. It actually did a relaunch, but they finally surpassed $1 billion in revenue, which is pretty significant. That's a good milestone to have. Again, BDO is a grindier Korean-style MMO. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I tried it. Definitely wasn't my cup of tea, but I can see the appeal in it, especially when you get to late game and you get to those later levels and you're really grinding out for those levels, and the PvP aspect of it. There's a lot of stuff that's really intriguing, but there's so much you have to get through in order to get to the end of that game. And the game style didn't mesh well with me either. It wasn't my type of game to play. But overall though, that game looks pretty. It is interesting. The monsters are pretty interesting to see in that game. The PvP looks really entertaining. But yeah, $1 billion in revenue since 2015. Not a bad day for BDO. And with the relaunch, I'm sure that number will continue to climb significantly, especially this year. So congratulations, BDO developer. And lastly, ending on some bad news here, but it's got to be said. The gender pay gap widens in the UK games industry by 3% last year. Now, with that $6 billion in spending and $6 billion floating around in the game industry, our female game developers were not seeing as much of that money as the male counterparts. Obviously, this is a big issue in the world, and especially the US, the Me Too movement, making sure there's equal pay in the workplace. And apparently, UK is going backwards in this regard, with the pay gap widening by 3.5%, which is pretty dang significant, if you ask me. So, UK, if you're watching this, get your act together, pay the women what they deserve, stop shortchanging them. That's all. Alright, but that wraps up our gaming news segment, guys. Again, a little different format this time. I didn't want to be super descriptive in the topics. I just kind of want to bullet point some of the topics and kind of have an open discussion about them. But that is our gaming news segment. I think I'm going to keep it that way going forward. Next up, we're going to bounce into our upcoming games. So, our upcoming games, again, we're going to go back to March a little bit because I did miss a little bit of time. Final Fantasy VII was re-released on Xbox One and Switch. So, you literally can play Final Fantasy VII on your Switch if you have one. That was on March 26th. Tropico 6, which is a game that I've always played since forever. Man, this game series is about for a long time, and the 6th iteration of it was released on the 29th. Yoshi's Crafted World, people were excited about that game. It came out on the 29th as well. If you're a Bomber Crew, the complete edition was re-released on April 2nd on PS4 and Switch. What else is there here? Oh, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney Trilogy. If you're an anime lover of Ace Attorney, there you go. It released on April 9th. And then this week, Earth Defense Force Iron Rain came out on PS4 on the 11th, which is today. And these are your games thus far. So far, there are some other games in here, but I didn't include them because they're kind of more obscure games. But yeah, these are the more well-known games, if you will. The Super Dragon Ball Heroes and World Mission. Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission came out to PC and Switch as well on April 5th. So check it out. Oh yeah, One Punch Man 2. That's true. And next up, we have our game Spotlight. I'm excited about this one, guys. The game Spotlight here. I don't have a video for you because there wasn't any official video that I really wanted to share here, so I'm just going to talk about this game. I've been talking about this game off and on stream for, I don't know, for a while. If you guys have been around at all, You'll have heard me talk about this game. This game is something else, and I really hope it gets the funding it needs to see the vision that they initially had for this game. So Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, let's get into it. What the heck is Pantheon Rise of the Fallen? Well, the name is Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. It was developed by Visionary Realms. It was also published by Visionary Realms. That's a good indication right there. And is going to be available on PC. And in the release date, at this time, we do not know when it will be released. I'm assuming that it'll be a 2020 release date or later. It could slip into 2021 as well. It just depends on how the development comes along and how the funding for the development of the game comes along. But it could be a 2020 or 2021 release date. This is a modern high fantasy MMORPG with an emphasis on team play. And when I say emphasis on team play, I really mean emphasis on team play. If any of you guys have ever played my favorite game, my favorite MMO of all time, Final Fantasy XI, then you'll understand how hardcore it was with team play. You could not kill monsters past level 10 without a party. And that would give you significant experience. Most monsters that you could kill at level 10 did not give you any experience. You had to go fight harder monsters. And a monster that was literally one level higher than you would kill you solo for the most part. There was there was one class that could probably do it by itself, but for the most part, you could not fight solo in that game. You had to do group play and team play. Now, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, this is literally the foundation of what they're trying to accomplish here. They're trying to bring the old school mechanics into a modern MMO and really focus on team play. None of this instance dungeon, instance raiding stuff where you join a party and you do the instance or dungeon or whatever, and then you leave and you never speak a word to that group and you never knew what happened to that group. That group might not even be on your damn server because of all the shards and stuff and like that. So they are really focusing on, you need to be in the same server, you need to be in the same location, you need to coordinate together to defeat the enemies. That is the only way you're going to progress in this game. Cooperating with one another, working with one another to achieve your goals is how you're going to get across in this game. And that, to me, is music to my ears. I have never been more excited for an MMO than I have for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. There are some other MMOs out there that I'm excited for, but Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is number one on my list for the most anticipated MMO out there. This game is like, brings me back to my Final Fantasy XI days. It gives me so much nostalgia, and they're saying the right things. The development seems to be going in the right direction, and if they can nail their vision, again, the only concern I see here is the funding, because they're all self-started. They did a Kickstarter. They do like crowdsourcing where like you can pledge and get a bunch of things that to help support. They're doing like angel investing and stuff like that to get the game going. But the only issue I see is the funding not being there. And if the game takes too long to make, then they could run out of money and the game may never see the light of day. But there is hope. And there's a lot of momentum in this game. That's why I want to get the word out there today about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. And if you're interested in it, definitely pitch in, support. You'll get some cool goodies for doing so as well. And it's cool to be like a supporter / founder of the game too. So moving on, because I could just talk about this all day. The development is led by Brad McQuaid. So if you don't know who Brad McQuaid is, he is a legend in the game development community, especially in the MMO space, because he was the lead design and developer of EverQuest. Now, EverQuest, you're like, what the heck is EverQuest? EverQuest was the MMO that was basically a global phenomena. It changed how you played MMOs. It set the foundation for how MMOs would be played. A lot of MMOs out there today still draw from that original concept and design of how MMO is and should feel. He was the lead designer and developed of EverQuest. And he also developed a game called Vanguard Saga of Heroes. That was a lesser known game that wasn't as successful as EverQuest, but yeah, those are his two main games that he was well known for. I mean, he has been around the industry for a long time, but those are the big ones, and those are the ones he's known for. And he wants to come back and make his own. He founded Visionary Realms with the intent of making this game and making it the game that he wanted to see played. Because he said, even in his bio, he's like, I felt abandoned by all the modern day MMOs. They don't do anything to create community, to create social experience. The number one thing they want to do in this game is have a social like experience where you guys feel together, you feel like you know everybody on the server, you can make good rapport, or you could just be an a-hole and just be mean to everyone on the server and nobody likes you. I mean, the way that ideally would work is that the server would literally isolate the bad people from the server, and those people would eventually just die off and not play the game anymore because they couldn't progress in content. And it just makes it to where like your community will be a really well-oiled machine that helps like kind of police itself and help you get through the game, and it'll be nice. Like when I played Final Fantasy 11, I don't think I ran into the trolls that I run into today in the modern MMOs. Final Fantasy 11, again, this was back in the day, so it's a little different, but like the trolls you would run into would be trolls in different ways. Like I remember the mob trains that would come in, like they would aggro all the mobs in the zone and run it through your party's leveling area and kill everybody. But I mean, that happened every now and again. It wasn't like super common. It wasn't like the most crazy thing in the world, but you would have that kind of trolling, but that was very, very rare. It didn't happen frequently, and most people were able to deal with it. And oftentimes the groups that were there would all combine together and support one another to fight off this massive amounts of mobs that were like wreaking havoc, and it was pretty cool. I didn't mind that kind of trolling, but that's the thing. Like they're trying to make a social game where social interaction is like the most important thing, and in order to do social interaction, you got to have team play. Everything you do has to revolve around having a team and making sure that you are focused on being a team member and being a good team member, because obviously if you're not a good team member, you're not going to get it in parties. The next thing on this here is the environment you care about. So this is in one of their bullet points on what they want the game to stand out about. So in many of the MMOs, World of Warcraft included, the environments really don't matter. Like I don't mean to name drop, but I really don't care about the environments I'm in, especially if they're older environments that I've been in. They're just a means to an end. Like I'm going through them to complete a quest, and then I'm gone. I don't really care what's happening. I'm skipping the story. I really don't care about the story, and it's by design because you're just trying to get through it as fast as can. There's little lights that point you in the direction where you need to go, and then you're on about your business. In this game, they really want you to care about your environment because the environment impacts the way you fight in the game. So there's going to be atmosphere, climate system to where you'll have to equip certain gear to protect you against the elements. It could be too hot, or it could be too cold, or it could be really wet. It could be really dark. You could be in a situation to where you can't use any type of magic, so like the area is silenced, and you'll have to equip certain gear to protect you against those different elements. So you're not going to get like the best gear at the end of the game and say, okay, this gear is the best, it's the only gear I need. Oh, my light is falling. This gear is the best. Oh, I'm gonna fix my light. Sorry. This gear is the best, and this is the ultimate gear I need here, and that's it. You know, like I don't need anything else. I got everything I need. The rest of the game is too easy. No, in this you're gonna have multiple sets of gear. Each set of gear is gonna be useful for each situation that you're in. Not only the environment will be impacting your gear choice, but also the monsters you go against, or the mobs you go against. Like those will impact the types of gear that you have. So you'll have different sets of gear for different situations, and so it'll make you be a little bit more tactical in how you do things. And then because there's an atmosphere and there's a climate system, and the climate is always changing around you dynamically, it's going to change how you use your spells. So for example, if you're in, let's say you're in a thunderstorm area, maybe your lightning bolts are extra strong because you can draw from the lightning in the air, and your ability is going to be like stronger as opposed to when like it's a normal day and there's no lightning around, there's no thunderstorm. You're gonna have it won't do as much damage. Conversely, if you're trying to use like a water spell in the desert or something, like it'll have an impact on how that works as well. So it's different things on there. So it's really interesting to see how the atmosphere climate system will come into play, but it definitely impacts your gear too. That's the most important thing. Environment impacts your gear. The environment itself is alive. There's dynamic quests that happen. Again, dynamic quests and dynamic events are nothing new to the MMO space. I can remember as far back as Guild Wars 2, or even further than that, where dynamic events were in the game where you do something in the game as a quest or something, and it activates an event that everybody can participate in. This is going to be in the game. This is not cutting edge anything, but it's still cool that they're making sure they include that, because dynamic events do make the world feel more alive. Again, the dynamic NPC events and NPC dispositions behavior. So the second part of this here, NPC dispositions behavior, is a really interesting feature. I believe it was in Final Fantasy XI, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, what this does the NPC disposition and behavior. So if you are a healer, you may be targeted by the enemy assassin, the enemy AI assassin, because they know they need to take out the healer. Or if the other person is, like, say, they flee easily, like when they're about to die, they'll run away from the battle. Like, that's a disposition that they would have, so they're not going to stay around and let you kill them. They'll run away, or they'll go get help. They'll go to other NPCs and get help, and then before you know, you may get overwhelmed by numbers of other NPCs. So, like, I'm beating up on this monster, and he's about to die, but he runs into this cave, and you go chase him in the cave, and there's more of his little homies there, and they come and attack you. And there's, like, that's the type of events that could happen in this game. And again, like I say with behavior, there's like people that will stalk you, like monsters that will stalk you. They may not let you, they may just ambush you. They'll, in the environment, they could ambush you, or they may target certain characters in your party to take them out faster because they know they're more squishy. There's different aspects on how they'll interact with you in the game. And so it is pretty interesting that they have that kind of like AI for the game. I know Final Fantasy XI did a little bit, because I remember that the damage dealers of the enemy that you're fighting, and typically you're only fighting one enemy, so that enemy would just target that specific dealer. So usually the aggro is whoever is doing the most damage, you can get the threat, right? In certain cases, it wasn't who was doing the most damage, it was who was doing the healing, or who was doing like the buffing of the crew. Even like buffing things, they would go attack your weak ones, or they would just go attack it. But again, the healing also helped with aggro too, so maybe it was just the aggro system. This is completely different though. Like, they're explicitly targeting your characters that are weak to whatever damage they can output, and it may be like hit and run style where they have an assassin on their team and they can just take you out. So it's a very interesting dynamic that they're trying to implement. So it's really, really cool. The next thing they have here is different colors of mana. So your mana is not going to just be one pool. Like, you'll have different colors to use. I liken it to like the materia system almost. Like you will have certain colors that will be used for certain things, and it's used for spells, but also abilities. So even if your character or your class doesn't use magic, it still will be used for certain abilities. So you may have like a red mana for your fire. You may have like a yellow mana for like some type of like stealth attack or something like that. But I liken the different mana colors to like kind of like Final Fantasy VII's materia system, to where each color represented something. And so like your colors of mana will be used for different things. And the more advanced spells and the more like rare spells and abilities that you get will use multiple colors, which makes it even more difficult, because I'm sure like the different colors of mana will not be that readily available. So those things are going to take away from different multicolors of mana to use. So again, I don't really understand the mana system completely, but from what I can tell is it's going to be very complex. It's not going to be just one simple mana pool that you're drawn from completely. So again, it is definitely something you'll want to keep in mind when thinking about how that mana ability stuff is going to be used, because that'll be your gate for a lot of your stuff that you're doing in the game. The next thing is progeny system. Again, I don't know if I said that correctly. Progeny system. Basically, when your character gets max level and they're completely decked out, you can retire that character and create a new character plus, basically, which is like their child, and this child will have like not like super OP buffed up stats, but like little boosts to their stats when you play the new character, which will make the experiences a little bit easier. But it is pretty cool that you'll be able to like go into the game, play it all the way through, and retire your main character and bring some of those stats into your new character that you create, and make the game a little bit less grindy coming through the second time. So it's pretty cool, and it makes for more replayability with the game too. Maybe you got tired of playing a certain class and you get it to max level. You're like, you know what? I'm tired of being a tank. I'm gonna retire my tank class. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be a healer. And then you'll come back as a healer, and then your child character will have better stats and better base stats than what you start off with your main character. So that'd be very interesting. The next thing we have here is situational gear. Again, as I mentioned earlier, there'll be situational gear to where you have to equip certain gear to deal with certain elements and also certain mobs. Say you're fighting an ice drake in an icy land. You might want some gear that protects you against ice damage and ice elements, so that way you don't freeze instantly and die. Say you're in an area that is completely silent and no magic can be used. Maybe you'll want some gear that'll protect you from silence. Maybe you'll want to bring some of that stuff along. There'll be certain mobs that are weaker or stronger with certain affinities. So this ice dragon's coming at you, and if you have no ice resistance on your gear, then you're gonna take a lot more damage, and you're gonna put your healers in a bad position because they're gonna have to heal you extra. So you gotta really think about it. And again, the emphasis on this was they don't want one gear being like the master gear for everything. Like, you're gonna have to adapt and have multiple sets of gear. So it's not one side. Once you get to that max level, you got the best gear in the game. Nothing else matters. Nah, it's not gonna be like that at all. You really have to work. And make sure you get gear for every situation, and that will take time, which I enjoy, because I mean part of the fun of grinding, and I don't even like grinding, like progressing through the game is getting all this additional info. So that's what they're asking here. So again, really cool. I like this because even in Final Fantasy 11 there was a problem with that, because you get your artifact gear in Final Fantasy 11 and you're basically a god. Once you got artifact gear, you're pretty much set, because there's like artifact gear 1, artifact gear 2, and then you're like done basically. Back in the day, so it was kind of lame because everybody had the same gear too, and it's like I don't like that. That was one downfall of the Final Fantasy 11, I could say. But this definitely changes that. It looks like people are gonna have different gear for wherever they're going in the world, which is pretty cool. Let me backtrack real quick though. I want to talk about the NPCs and the environment again. So the NPCs, not only are they going to be dynamic, but they're also going to give you like special abilities or spells. So you can't just simply buy spells or abilities like you would do in like other MMOs. Like you just go to a vendor, NPC vendor, and buy the spells or abilities that you need. I mean, some of your essential abilities will be like that, but the special and the good ones, you're going to have to go find those in the world, and they're not going to be spelled out for you with an arrow or an exclamation point to take you to where you got to go. You're going to have to go out there and explore the world and find those abilities. And the examples they gave was like some NPC deep down inside of a cave, or some monk on top of a hill in a secluded mountain. You're going to have to go find these characters and get those special abilities or spells, which is freaking dope, man. It's so dope that they do that. Like, you're actually gonna have to explore the world and get to know the world and traverse it. So I think jumping into this game in the beginning would be super cool, because no one's gonna know where anything is, and that's the joy of it, man. You might find something that no one else finds first, you know. So the people that are super meticulous and going through the game, I think you're gonna enjoy this, and it's probably gonna take you millions of years to go through it all if you're super meticulous and like how I am. Like, I'll go look through every nook and cranny and talk to every character. The other thing about the environment too is that not only is the atmosphere and climate change, but there are certain things that happen within each zone or area that you're in. Like, say for example, there's a tornado like ripping through the area. You could literally die if you walk near the tornado. So you're gonna have to play and fight around this tornado area. Or maybe there's something going on with like a volcano eruption. Again, this is not anything confirmed, but these are just different examples that I'm trying to portray to help you understand. But like, maybe there's an active volcano and there's ash and lava, and it's really bad on the party's ability to see stuff because there's so much ash and lava going around or something like that. So the environment will play not only into your abilities and not only to like you surviving the elements, but it also play into actually being a threat to killing you as well. The environment alone. So it's definitely interesting. And you can become acclimated to environments, and you get acclimated by the gear or items that you get to help you deal with the elements. So you can become acclimated. So that's another cool thing that they have with it. Yeah, but I think that's it with those. So I just really want to touch base on that real quick, because I thought that was pretty cool. And there's a perception system. So what that means, if you guys ever heard about WildStar, I think that was the MMO WildStar. So basically, WildStar had a thing where if you had a different class, that class would experience the world differently than another class. And so this perception system is similar to that, to where your class will see things a certain way that other classes will not see. NPCs will react to you differently than they do with other classes. So it's not going to be exactly the same cookie cutter stuff. Again, this is not new because I know WildStar specifically did this, so where you experience different things by having different classes or jobs or whatever. And they're adding that perception system within this game, which is pretty cool. Because if I'm an assassin walking through the world, everybody may treat me a lot differently than the noble paladin guy that's walking through the world. So again, that adds to additional replayability in the game because you may experience the game in a significantly different way. Now they haven't provided any additional detail on how significant the difference is, but they were saying like your class may learn secrets that other classes won't. And so the reason they did that was they want all these classes to work together to help discover the secrets, because if you're working individually, you're not going to discover all the secrets as you would if you guys were working together to obviously discover the secrets that you need. So another reason to work together as a team, to make it more social interaction and to help one another out. So that's another cool thing about it. And lastly, there are future features that they've announced that will come after launch. These will not be with launch of the game, but they're very interesting. So they have building outposts. You can build outposts, non-instance housing, which is pretty cool. I think non-instance housing, like thing that comes to my mind when you hear non-instance housing is like Arcade. So I think that's pretty dope. And then player run dungeons and regions, which is pretty crazy. I've heard of player run regions where like you dominate a region, like, and you get to determine what happens in the region. But player run dungeons, I don't even know what that even means. Like, do you get to determine what spawns in those dungeons? You get to determine what's at the end of the dungeons? Like, do you become a dungeon master? Like, what does that even mean? I have no idea what that means, but that is freaking cool. Like, player run dungeons and regions. I want to know more about that. And then obviously the non-instance housing is pretty cool. So you feel more immersed in the world. And I know there are some questions in chat about is this pay to play or is this free to play? This is a subscription based MMO. They haven't indicated how much it'll be, but I'll most likely think it'll be like a $12 to $15 subscription. I prefer subscription based MMOs because again, those are more sustainable at the end of the day. They actually have like frequent updates throughout the day, and they're not so reliant on cash shops or vanity items to keep their game running. So I'm in favor of the subscription based model, and Pantheon Rise of the Fallen will be a subscription based model. They have not announced PvP, so all you PvPers out there, they said there are going to be different servers, so there probably will be PvP, but they haven't really detailed what the PvP system is going to be like. So that tells me that PvP may come later, or it may be very light in the beginning. But this is really a PvE focused game. And if you ever played Final Fantasy XI, Final Fantasy XI was extremely PvE focused. But again, that did not diminish that MMO one bit at all. It was actually pretty awesome. And there were certain things within the game that you could PvP against each other. It was like PvP light, where it was instance PvP. And I could see that happening here where they may do instance PvP, which I'm okay with. But the PvE elements in this game are ridiculously awesome. So definitely does not diminish the game in my eyes, and it shouldn't diminish it for you either. If you want more info on what the classes are, the races are, all the different lore in the game, they have a ton of information on their website. It is pantheonmmo.com. I will link that in the bottom of this video at the end. But definitely check it out if you're interested at all. When this game comes out, I definitely am going to play it. I'm probably going to pledge soon as well. I have not pledged yet, but I definitely want to pledge so we can get some early access on this game. I was first introduced to this game back in 2017 when TwitchCon was in Long Beach, actually. Pantheon Rise of the Fallen was showcased at TwitchCon on the expo floor, and I looked into it, and then when I got home I looked into it even more and just fell in love with the concept of the game. And as the game progresses and as they develop and add more art and build the world out, it gets more and more impressive as I see it. So again, it seems a little far away though, so don't expect it to be coming out anytime soon. I would guess 2020, 2021 at the earliest, unless they get some hyper hiring and just build it out really fast. I don't see how to get this game out sooner. And honestly, I want them to take their time on this game. I hope they deliver everything that they're asking to do here, because it's going to be so dope. And yeah, that is Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. That's our game spotlight for episode 8. I know it was long and winded, but this game is very close to me right now. It's one of the main games that I follow all the time. And if you guys know who Code Carnage is, they always ask him to come like play test for periodically as well. So If you want to see some playtests, check out Code Carnage's VODs. I'm pretty sure he has them there, or YouTube. You can check out the play runs they've done in the game. Again, the game looks rough right now, but because they're not really focused on the art and world building yet, they're just focused on the core mechanics of the game and making sure that the game mechanics themselves work well. So check it out, guys. Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen. All right, and lastly, we're gonna end with our upcoming conventions and events. Again, TwitchCon EU is going on as of today. I don't know why I put 13. Oh, it actually starts tomorrow. Wait, did I have the wrong dates there? I think I had the wrong dates for TwitchCon EU because it starts tomorrow and Sunday. Actually, no, I'm right. It starts tomorrow and Sunday. They had the Midwest Gaming Classic, April 12th through the 14th in Milwaukee, which I didn't even know that existed, which is pretty cool. Womanize Gaming Tech 2019 happened on April 10th in Berlin. So they're having a lot of gaming conventions in Berlin, actually. There's a few other ones in here I didn't put on here, but Berlin is the hot spot for gaming conventions. Then there's the East Coast Games Conference on April 16th to the 18th in Raleigh, North Carolina. Pikes Peak Gamers Convention in Manitou Springs, Colorado. That's for you, Chronic. I believe that is mostly a board game convention, so if you love board games, go check that out. That looks pretty cool. I actually would check that out if I was close by. There's a Level Up Expo in Las Vegas from April 26th to the 28th. And lastly, for the month of April, we have Play Paris happening on April 27th to the 28th in Paris, France. And that is it. That is your show for episode 8. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you would do me a solid, please hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and most importantly, tell a friend about the series. I would very much appreciate it. Thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.